We are talking with Scott Kellen from SixCentSports.com and Dave Golikoff, senior sports columnist for AskMen.com, here on the SBR TV NFL Experts Roundtable, previewing the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Now let's just move to the last game, the Giants and Green Bay. Now, this is a tough one. I look at this game, and I have an extremely teeny lean on the Giants, +8. Also, a guy named Polar Beer, who has been responding to all of our videos on YouTube, and particularly been following the Giants and very good with them, says he likes the Giants here. He actually took them on the money line when it opened. It's gone down a little bit, but it's still over +300. I'm just looking at this. You know, the Giants, of course, they are surging. We've talked about it. They're healthy on run in the running game and on defense. But Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers off of a bye, it scares me. Let's start with Scott Kellen from SixCentSports.com, Green Bay homer and expert. What do you think? You think the Giants +8 might be a little bit of a good play?
I don't know. The problem for me in this game, Peter, is that same situation that applies to Baltimore. That's 44-12 and 1 applies to Green Bay as long as they're favored by less than 10, which of course they will be in this game. So I've got a very, very strong situation that applies to Green Bay. But when I look at the numbers, I only get the numbers favoring Green Bay by maybe 4 or 5 points in this game. So there's clearly some value on the Giants. So I got a real strong situation in Green Bay. Value in the Giants. Obviously, it's hard for me to make a decision on that. I do get, from a total point standpoint, I get totals in the high 50s in this game.
Yeah.
Now, the weather's going to be cold, so I don't know if I want to play over in the game. And quite frankly, for the Giants, they're going to have to come out and play a game, I think, similar to what the Bears tried to do against the Packers a couple weeks ago. Control the clock, run the ball. When Kansas City beat Green Bay a couple weeks ago, I think they had the ball for like 36 minutes. So if the Giants can run the ball, obviously that's going to do a lot to the total, and you've already got a fairly high total as it is. So I don't know if I want to play the total here. But, the Giants obviously are very healthy. They've got 4 guys on the defensive line that can rush the ball, so they can sit 7 back and play coverage. I don't think the fact that, they have 4 guys that can rush the ball is going to do a whole lot to the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers gets rid of the ball fairly quickly. They'll move the ball. I think Green Bay is going to score their share points. They always do. They've scored 35 or more points in every home game this year, other than their 24-3 win against St. Louis, where they kind of coasted in the second half. And they've won every home game by a lot of points this year. So, they're destroying teams at home, and this is a relatively short number based on what they've done. But just from a fundamental standpoint, Giants can run the ball. Eli Manning's playing well. They've got big-time receivers. Packers defense gives up a lot of points. Certainly, if nothing else, that could set them up for a backdoor cover. So I'm a little torn in this. Put a gun to my head. I'm probably leaning towards Green Bay because of the situation and the high total. But I'm not real comfortable with that either.
Dave Golikoff from AskMen.com. We've talked about the Giants a lot. Had a pretty good read on them this year so far. This game, again, I'm probably going to stay off. Gun to my head, I think I would take the Giants +8. What do you think?
Yeah, I love the Giants in this game.
Really?
There's really not a whole lot not to like about them. As you said, we followed them all year. What do? They play great against good teams. They play poor against bad teams. They really do play to the level of their competition. They also play well on the road, not so good at home. So this is another good spot for them. I'd be very wary with Green Bay in this spot. Look, we're examining a 15-1 team under a microscope, so there's not a whole lot of bad to go on. But if we're nitpicking, those are the things that I don't like. Their ground game is really suspect. Their defense is extremely suspect. They lost to Kansas City. Why did they lose to Kansas City? Because the Chiefs were able to get to the quarterback. That offensive line of Green Bay is a little bit suspect. I know we got Chad Clifton coming back, Brian Bulaga coming back, but sometimes, these guys coming back from injuries aren't playing at 100%. So just because he's back, don't assume that he's great. Giants are coming off a great defensive effort last week. I know the score was 24-2, but the defense shut out the Falcons. I think that's impressive. They're playing with a lot of confidence. The media, the team, the coaches said it was their best defensive effort of the year. They're already talking about guaranteeing a win this week. And, granted, I don't want to hear a lot of trash talk coming from the Giants to a team that's, the Super Bowl champs, but it shows you the level of confidence. They're not going to be intimidated. And quite frankly, if this is a toe-to-toe bout, you don't want to be stuck with the Packers laying 9 points in this game, in a game that could really be going back and forth. I know it sounds crazy, but I obviously love the Giants plus the points. Well, why not on the money line? They're playing as good as anybody right now. Packers had to have a break in that momentum with the bye week. I actually think, that could potentially work against them. So, I do like the Giants, and I would agree with the commenter. As you said, I'd sprinkle a little bit on the money line.
Man, all right. Well, if the Giants get a clearly right side type cover in this one, I'm going to be impressed once again by you, Dave Golikoff, senior sports columnist from AskMen.com. All right, thanks guys so much for doing this again. We'll talk to you next week.